Welcome, my little monsters, to another episode of The Alarmists, Conspiracy Theories and Coffee. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we have a crazy time going on here, but I am actually the bearer of some very good news. Literally a half an hour ago, the Jerusalem Post revealed that there is a HBR coronavirus vaccine that has been tested by the Israeli Institute for Biological Research on hamsters that has been 100% effective. That's right. And now the next step is they're going to try to go for human trials, and that will be decided within the next week or so. But if that happens, there is a very strong chance that we are going to get a vaccine by the end of next winter. I know that sounds very long, but you got to think about it in the context of reality. The fact that a vaccine would get even completed in that period of time is one short step of a mini miracle. So anyway, good news for a change. The hamsters there were 50 hamsters. None of them got infected. They were all protected by this vaccine. Very, very promising. And with those words, I'm going to introduce our first guest, Mr. Robert Spano, who I've known for over 40 years. Mr. Spano knows everything about healthcare. He's a healthcare broker. He knows all about the healthcare industry. He knows all about politics, and we're going to get in it mano a mano with Mr. Spano. Bring him on.
Hey, Jesse.
Hey, how are you, Robbie?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, man. Very good. Did you hear the news?
I think it's fantastic news. I read about Israel on the cutting edge of being involved with the development of a vaccine, and I know there's a lot of competition and a lot of different entities who are experimenting with all sorts of different modalities to treat this virus. And I think it's great news. And hopefully, I don't know in the details of the test whether the population was very large and how.
Well, they did 50 hamsters they did it with, and they're now looking to go to human trials in about a couple of weeks.
Hey, a hamster is almost a human. But
I know a couple of people that look like hamsters, but we won't go there.
That's great news. For your listeners out there, one day, if they have a chance, there was a wonderful book I read years ago called Splendid Solution about the development of the polio vaccine and how the March of Dimes with FDR and Roosevelt, how they were really working so hard. And it showed in the book how many different options and ideas they were trying to deploy to develop this vaccine, both a live virus and a dead virus, and the politics that were also warring factions between different parties to develop the vaccine. But that Salk finally did develop this, and it was great news.
That's the thing. I mean, first of all, tell the viewers what you do every day, because what you do is very, very interesting. You get a ground eye view of the healthcare industry, all its good and all its bad, correct?
Actually, what I do every day now, Jesse, is humor the clients because they're otherwise extremely pissed off that the rates are going up and they can't see their own doctors. But yes, for 30 years, I've been selling medical insurance. I spent 8 years in a third-party administrator with developing self-funded plans, designing plans, working with actuaries and other various vendors, the drug vendors, the network vendors, the hospital case management review people, and working hand in hand. It's almost like watching a multi-dimensional ping pong match between the employer, the employee, the hospital, the doctor, the blood lab, the pathology lab, and obviously, and most importantly, the spouse of the employee who is very critical about the health plan they had. I want to be polite here, but they would.
No, don't be polite, man. I want you to say it.
Put it this way: I've got clients that aren't going to get any nookie unless they show up to the bedroom without their Oxford card. They're not getting anything.
That's pretty bad. Thank God I don't carry Oxford.
But yeah. So, and then obviously the deployment of managed care as it came to New York in the early '90s, shortly after Arthur Ashe and Magic Johnson, announced they had AIDS, and how Blue Cross back in the early '90s was the insurer of last resort. And so any of the sick population were offloaded to Blue Cross, and the imbalances of the rates were so extreme that they knew they needed a new method to cover everybody, because the game within a game, Jess, is that, as you know, the hospitals have to treat everyone who walks through the door.
Now, wait, I'm gonna interrupt you, because this is the thing that I want you to get at, because you and I sometimes go at it about politics. How politicized is the healthcare industry? You brought up just a second ago about Jonas Salk and how political it got to get this vaccine for polio. It seems like it's 10,000 times worse. Be honest. Tell me what you think is really going on out there in this development of a vaccine for coronavirus.
Well, two parts to your question. The healthcare industry, it's a very emotional issue for everyone, obviously. And politicians, they put their finger up in the wind, they see which way the wind's going, they vote accordingly. But if they don't give away the goodies, they're not going to get reelected. That's the way they think.
And what are the goodies?
The goodies are hospitalization, drugs, and everything is covered, and you don't have to worry. And you don't have to be a participant in the salvation of your own body. I think it's and that's going to actually be very interesting in terms of, after coronavirus, the recognition among the population, at least fair-minded, that, I can't have diabetes or type 2 where it's weight induced. It's behavior induced with bad eating habits. I have to stop smoking. I have to watch my weight. Those are the things that can get people into real trouble. And if they're able to take those steps on their own, they can avoid a lot of problems without having to deal with these exogenous diseases. So with respect to the politics of healthcare, it's the big animal in the room, Jess. Because
the big gorilla. Say it, Robbie. The gorilla.
It's the big gorilla because the hospitals, they got to get paid. The hospitals have to take everyone who walks through the door, and God forbid you got to pay more than $10, $15. You're afraid of your politician is afraid of not getting reelected.
All right, but you know what? All right, so higher premiums, which seems to be the story every year. But you know what pisses me off? Who do we trust? It's just came out now that Dr. Fauci lied in a March interview, and he says that, in March, when he announced that we don't need N95 masks, he admitted that he lied about that. Now, but here's the other side. Here's the other side. I understand his motive. His motive is because he knows if he didn't do that, that first responders and healthcare workers may not have had the proper protection. And if they get ill, who takes care of the sick people? But, he lied. So my bigger question is, who do we believe? We don't know who to believe anymore.
Prior to this show tonight, I did a lot of background reading just to review articles I've downloaded, because obviously I'm into this thing in a big way. And, Taiwan was really the first one on December 31st that really announced the presence of this undescribed pneumonia that they couldn't ascribe to COVID at that time. And they had experience in the past dealing with H1N1. They had SARS, they had avian and COVID. I don't think any of these guys really knew what they were dealing with. And Fauci, someone who's a nice man. When you're dealing with someone who's a pure scientist, he works in a laboratory, he gets his guaranteed check, he's got his guaranteed health care, and he can think in a way that's not grounded in the normalcy of other folks' lives who have to live in the market sector, in the free marketplace. There's no question. Him, the WHO, the CDC, De Blasio, they were all over the place. So
the WHO even right now is politicized. Never in the history of healthcare, never in the history of epidemics and pandemics have we had a World Health Organization that is using politics to wield their press releases each day.
The head of the WHO is in bed with the Chinese. The Chinese have got their Belt and Road Initiative. I don't know if you've heard about that, but they're into South America, they're into Africa, they're spreading out, and they've got contracts with these various countries to do all sorts of work. And if the countries that contract with China default on payments for work done, whether it's deforesting a rainforest, whether it's mining for minerals, they're going to go out and China's going to take over their assets. So Tedros.
So it's politicized. It's like almost being held hostage financially.
The WHO was a compliant enabler for China that did not really go out. I think it wasn't until March 7th that they finally said, hey, wait a second, this is a pandemic. When
Yeah.
Taiwan knew was
Actually, no,
December.
it was early. It was earlier than that.
No. I think it was March 7th because I have some of these
Yeah.
articles here. But when they said finally this is a full-fledged pandemic, the Taiwan was out there on December 31st. Donald Trump, to his credit, whatever your politics, January 31st he shut it down from China. So I give him credit there.
Yeah, but he made a mistake. He made a mistake. It was already in Europe. He should have
Well,
shut down Europe. He
I,
should
I happen to agree with you. My
Yeah.
friend Susan, she is South Korean, but she told me that in Milan, Italy, they have 4 distinct separate ports that bring in Wuhan workers to do
There you
the
go.
sewing. And in Milan, that's the way to keep the made in Italy brand. So they can say legally it was made in Italy. But you had people flowing all over the place. But truthfully, I think everybody dropped the ball for de Blasio to say, hey, ride the subways. You had the New York State Department of Health director say, yeah, everything's fine. Come out, go to Chinatown. They missed it. And then when you have Governor Cuomo with the March 25th directive from the New York State Department of Health saying every senior citizen has got to be readmitted back to their facility regardless of their COVID status, was bad. And there's been a release now by the Medicare Center of Medicare where they said, no. We weren't, Cuomo was not following the federal guidelines. The federal guidelines was that you needed to certify that you had a specific ability to isolate the COVID people coming back from the hospital at a nursing home. If you didn't, you needed to find other arrangements. And that's not what Cuomo did. And as a matter of fact, Donnie, I forgot the guy's name, Donnie, he was head of a big nursing home chain in Brooklyn. He was calling up begging to use the, I think it was called the Ship to Friendship, as well as the Javits Center to allow these seniors to be moved from the hospital to a separate isolated area.
So they really dropped the ball big time. A lot of people died because of it.
Huge. So
now look what's going on again. I mean, it's not even a second wave, and we had almost 200,000 infections in one night. I mean, it's crazy what's happening. We're getting these spikes in over 30 states. Let me ask you, when you go out, Robbie, do you wear a mask? Do you wear gloves?
I am ridiculous. Yes, I do.
No, I am too.
I had pneumonia back.
I look like Robert De Niro in Brazil.
Yeah,
fucking crazy.
I haven't done enough reading on the recent reports that came out today, but certainly as you're doing more testing, yes, you're going to find more people testing positive, and certainly young people. You give them some freedom. The kids on the beach, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. It's hard to say. You can't regulate behavior to that level. You're gonna have to, I think, just resolve that folks that are say 50, 55 and above, maybe you've got some underlying issues. You're gonna have to be extra careful. But for a lot of folks, if you look at the CDC website of those of the mortality rates, you're seeing it's really all skewed to older people or people who've had underlying issues.
Yeah, but now they're showing that also in this the virus is mutated. A lot of younger people now are showing up on the radar getting infected. So, to sit there and just say it's old people, I think
no. I'm not saying to you that yes, they probably are infected, but that this disease it seems like it can morph and affect people very differently depending on your underlying condition. And you've had, I think, something like 15 children up to age, I think up to 12 have died since February.
Wow.
But that's not a lot compared to
every life matters, though.
Every life matters. But compared to say older folks, if you're on chemotherapy, you've got diabetes, you've got hypertension, you got heart disease, you got a bigger risk. But I think the real, can I just jump in? I think the real conspiracy theory, the real conspiracy out of this whole thing is how in the world did this thing get out? Was it a bat virus? Is saying it's a horseshoe bat? Or
you want to hear the latest out of China? They are now doing a dog meat festival for 10 days. A dog meat festival after all this stuff has happened. They're doing a dog meat festival. One village, one city in China has rejected it. In Shenzhen has said, no, we're not doing this. How can they do this? I'm sorry, there's something wrong with the culture if they're getting so down in the dirt here and eating all these animals that just shouldn't be eaten.
Yeah.
So as a final closing comment, give us something to hang on to. Give the viewers some hope. What do you say to somebody watching this show right now that they can hang their hat on that might give them hope about what's going on around them? Because there's so much confusion out there. We don't know what to believe. We don't know who to believe. It's become politicized. What do you say to give a person hope?
I just say at this point in time, give it time, because eventually this virus is gonna find a three-way intersection. It's gonna die out, or we're gonna come up with a viral treatment or a vaccine. It's a nasty virus. By the way, the bat lady in China, she says that there are 5,000 other strains of this type of virus, and she's aggressively going on. It's like her moral call to go out and find these viruses. But I think at this point in time, give it time, and if you've got a hobby, you want to learn an instrument, you want to read books, get into it and hang out for 6 months, and I think eventually they'll find something that'll cure it.
Robbie Spano, a true unsung hero in the healthcare business. Thank you for being my guest today. This is The Alarmist, Conspiracy Theories and Coffee. Have a great night, people. Peace.